Welcome to Your Healthy Kitchen from Dignity Health Yavapai Regional Medical Center.
Welcome to Dignity Health YRMC's Your Healthy Kitchen. I'm your host, Rita Carey Rubin. You know, just like all other tissues, your nerves need the right nutrition to stay healthy. And we know that whole foods that are rich in nutrients, fibers, and antioxidants keep inflammation low and reduce cellular damage throughout the whole body. It turns out that taming inflammation is really important for protecting all of your tissues and cells, including your nerves. In fact, research shows that chronic inflammation can damage nerves, leading to an increased risk of nervous system disorders, including Parkinson's, ALS, Alzheimer's disease, and even stroke. But there's good news. You can significantly reduce the inflammation in your body every time you eat by choosing anti-inflammatory foods. So in 2004, the Dietary Inflammation Index was developed. And then it was updated again in 2010 to evaluate and score the effects of food on inflammation. So what they did is they just fed folks a bunch of food and then watched and saw what inflammatory chemicals showed up in the blood. And in general, highly processed foods that contain sugars, unhealthy fats, processed carbohydrates, white flour kind of things, and little to no nutrients, they rate really high on the inflammation index. And that means that they trigger the release of those inflammatory chemicals throughout the body. But on the other hand, again, not surprisingly, darkly colored vegetables and fruits, fresh herbs, nuts, spices, and even some fish rate low on the inflammation scale. And some even have been shown to reduce inflammatory chemicals in the blood relatively soon after they're eaten. And there's actually a couple of really neat studies that demonstrate that we'll talk about in just a little bit. So I have a recipe for you today that incorporates some of those anti-inflammatory foods, and it's just perfect for a summer dessert. It's a simple fruit salad, but it's dressed with a gingery drizzle that's spiked with some lime juice and fresh herbs. So let's get cooking, and we'll talk more about the anti-inflammatory powers of food. So our fruit salad starts with some berries, and you can use any berries in this recipe that you like. You can just do all berries if you want. I start with berries because berries are the fruits that are most full of those anti-inflammatory chemicals. Those are called anthocyanins, and they're phytochemicals that give berries their deep, rich color. So dark purple and blue and red all indicate that there's a lot of anti-inflammatory anthocyanins in there. So I have some blueberries, and again, you could use any kind of berry you want. But I'm going to compare it with some mango today. You can also use papaya. The papaya wasn't quite ripe in the store, so I grabbed some of these beautiful champagne mangoes that are just coming into the markets. They're just almost perfect. So let's talk about mangoes. Any kind of mango, especially these ones, what you want to do is first give it a little squeeze. If it's really firm, it needs to ripen a little bit more. But it's almost like an avocado. There should be like a little squish, but not really squishy. Because if it's really, really squishy, it's probably overripe, right? So a little bit of squish. And then for these particular mangoes, you want to look for ones that are a deep yellow color. If the mango still has some green on it, like this one does, just put it in a bag or leave it on the countertop and let it ripen. If you put it in a paper bag with an avocado or a banana or even a tomato, and you close it up, it'll get ripe within a day, really, really quickly. So with mangoes, they have a couple of sides to them. So there's the rounder side, the fleshier side. They're actually called mango cheeks. And then there's the narrow side. And so to cut into a mango, you're going to slice down and along the narrow side and cut off the cheeks, so to speak. So here's the stem end, and to cut the mango, you just cut maybe about 1/4 inch from the stem, and we're just going to slice along down. There's a pit inside. I'm just going to slice down along the pit. And you'll feel it. You know, if you put your knife in there and it stops, that means you're cutting the pit. So you might pull your knife out and start a slice that's a little farther to the edge. And you can feel it, and if you can just kind of run your knife right alongside of it, like that. So here's the pit right there. And then to get the fruit out of the cheek, just score it. And I'm just being careful not to cut through the skin. So I'm just scoring it into cubes, like that. And you can take your finger, you can take a spoon, and just scoop those little guys out. So it's really easy to use a mango. I know it can be a little intimidating to know how to peel it, but that's super easy. And also, you don't want to waste any of that wonderful fruit. So I'm going to cut the second cheek here along the pit. And you can still use the fruit that's along the edge here. So just take my knife, slice that, slice this. And then if you really want to get into it, you can slice all those little pieces off as well. So that's how you slice a mango. So we're going to add our blueberries to the mango. Mangoes are really high in fiber, so are blueberries. And when you have a high fiber food, that also helps to lower inflammation because fiber feeds the bacteria that live in your gut, the microbiome. The good guys, the healthy bacteria, like to eat a lot of fiber, and we get fiber from plants. And the more fiber, the better, really. So when we know that when there's a healthy microbiome or a lot of really healthy bacteria in there, that affects the inflammation throughout the body. It lowers the inflammation. So our salad's not done. We're going to make a little dressing. So I'm starting with just some lime juice, super high in vitamin C, which is antioxidant. Wonderful to get lots of that into your diet. Little lime juice, and I'm going to grate some ginger. And to peel this little knob, I'm just using the side of my spoon. You can use a knife if you like. But I find that the spoon actually lets you preserve more of the ginger. You don't lose so much. You know, sometimes with a knife, as you're cutting into the skin, you lose a lot of the actual ginger. So the spoon works really great. And this is a really nice juicy piece of ginger. If you have juicy ginger, you can actually make ginger juice and put that in the dressing. You just would grate it and then just squeeze the grated ginger and get the ginger juice out. But I really like it with the grated ginger too. You actually get a little more fiber and you don't waste any of it. So I'm just using the microplane part of this grater, and maybe getting a half a tablespoon of ginger or so, maybe a teaspoon. Play with it. See how gingery you want, because if you overdo it, it gets really spicy. So I'll put about that much in with the lime juice. It's gonna have a lot of zest. And then a little surprise herb, rosemary. And when we look at that anti-inflammatory index, or the inflammatory index, the one of the best herbs for lowering inflammation in your body is rosemary. So, and it actually goes really well with fruit. And it is pretty strongly flavored, so you don't need a lot of it. And you want to slice it or cut it with a scissor or chop it pretty small, just because it's not fun to bite into a big old rosemary leaf while you're having your fruit salad. So just finely chop or slice it. And it's maybe a teaspoon, maybe a little less. That goes in the sauce. And the last thing we add is a little maple syrup. You could also add some honey, just to sweeten it up a bit. Doing maybe about half as much maple syrup as lime. And then I'm going to give it a little taste, just to see if that's enough. Oh, wow. That is really good. Super gingery. It's gonna be very good on this salad. So just take your sauce. It's going over the berries and the mango. And you can let it sit and marinate for a bit in the fridge. And it's gonna be really, really flavorful. And that's it, voila. So they did some really cool experiments with berries. One was with blueberries, where they gave people a cup of blueberries after they ate a high glycemic meal, meaning that the carbohydrates turn to sugar really fast and they raise blood sugars really quickly. And that causes inflammation in the body. So they think the meal was like white bread and ham and mashed potatoes. So maybe not something that we would normally eat together. And then they gave people a cup of blueberries after they ate it, and they watched the inflammatory chemicals in the blood go up, and then after they ate the blueberries, they came right back down again. And they also did a similar thing with raspberry. They blended up some raspberries and gave it to folks after they ate like a fast food breakfast meal that had sausage, biscuit, and hash browns, and they saw the same exact thing. So let's talk a little bit more about the other foods that have really good anti-inflammatory effects. So they include, including ginger, which we mentioned, and rosemary, also turmeric, garlic, rosemary, like I said, one of the best ones out there. Healthy omega-3 fats that you get from fatty fish and seafood, flaxseed, walnuts, fatty fish, again, healthy omega-3s, sea vegetables, berries. Any dark purple, red, orange, or green vegetables are packed with those anti-inflammatory chemicals. Also, green and black tea is really good for you too. So just to drop that inflammation, be sure to power up your meals and snacks with those nutrient-rich vegetables, fruits. Have some whole grains, nuts, seeds, and healthy fats. And then you want to reduce your intake of those processed foods, things that are high in sugar, and even cut back on dairy products and meats to lower your overall inflammation in your body. And we know that your nerves and the rest of your body, they'll love you for it. So remember also to check out all of our instructional videos and our delicious health-promoting recipes at yrmchealthconnect.org. And you can follow me on Facebook too, where I post photos and videos of the meals I make in my own kitchen, plus links to my favorite food and gardening destinations on the web. So till next time, eat well and be well, and we'll see you soon.